I think that Prince William was talking about a historical event, going with his mother to the homeless place, which I remember them doing at the time. And of course, it would have been very strange if he hadn't mentioned Prince Harry, since Prince Harry was quite clearly there with him. However, having said that, it's nice that he did, and I'm a great believer that every time there's a step like this, it's a step forward. And as I've said on many occasions, if people are prepared to compromise, there's always the chance of reconciliation. So I don't think you should read too much into it, because I think it would have been very, very odd if he hadn't mentioned him, and in fact rather counterproductive. I mean, that would have been very much picked up, wouldn't it, if he hadn't said anything about his brother being there. And that's all he said, really, that his brother was there with him, which he was. I'd like to say that I see it as an olive branch to his brother, but as I say, I think it's more the case that since he was talking about an event where Prince Harry was present, it would have been very odd if he hadn't mentioned him. On the other hand, as you say, he could have specifically excluded him, which would have been indicative of a complete breach between them. The other point about Prince Harry coming back, of course, is that the royal family are very hardworking and they're all working for us. And if Prince Harry was to come back and start undertaking royal duties again, I think this could be to some extent rather counterproductive and deflect attention. And just imagine if he had been undertaking some duties, which he does actually do extremely well, while the king was out in Australia and Samoa. You can be sure that the news would have been reporting what he was doing to the detriment of what the king was doing, which was, of course, much more important. Well, you'd be surprised how it is possible for people to conciliate, and the most unlikely people in the world do so. I'll give you another example. Diana, his mother, became quite good friends of Rain Spencer in the last few months of her life, and they used to go and have lunch together, whereas beforehand, they'd been, really, Diana really did not want her father to marry Rain, and when he died, they put all Rain's clothes and things in black plastic bags outside Althorpe. So you'd think that would be pretty conclusively the end of any relationship between them. But as it happens, in 1997, they were quite often having lunch together, and they sort of made friends. So it's always possible, and it's actually very important, I think, in the long run, that there should be some sort of compromise between them, because they were so very close before. It's so sad that that this has happened. We know why it's happened, because Prince Harry's been incredibly rude about his father, about the royal family, about William, and about Catherine, and this does not go down well. Obviously, I completely understand that, but you'd be surprised how things can come round eventually. So let's hope eventually it will. But as I say, I don't think it would be very much to the advantage of the British royal family to have him undertaking royal duties, because he would deflect attention from the wider and more important job that they're doing. Well, you see, I think as time goes on, sometimes the bitterness becomes less strong. And the king has been, of course, brilliant, because he hasn't responded in any way at all to any of the jibes that have come from Prince Harry or Meghan. And I think that Prince William is probably, I would imagine, rather less forgiving. And in a way, the hurt is greater, because also, rather like Prince Harry attacked Camilla, so too Harry attacked Catherine. And that's not very nice. I mean, nobody likes that. But it's interesting that, possibly there will come a time when they appear together in public for various reasons. And sometimes I noticed this with another royal family that I happen to know in another land. And I remember thinking it's much more difficult to behave in an unfriendly way in private after you've behaved in a friendly way in public, if that makes sense. That you realize that actually you can get on and it is possible. So that's what I would hope would happen in the long run. But I think it's a tricky one. And that, as I've said before, it's much more likely that would be something if Prince Harry, for some reason, found himself on his own and was coming back, tail between his legs somewhat, and, back into the fold. But I'm not sure that there's much wish on the behalf of Meghan Markle to come back to this country, or for this country to have her here, because she seems to be something of a troublemaker. I mean, again, we've talked about how he's bought this property in Portugal, evidently near Princess Eugenie, his first cousin, and so it's quite possible that the children, will all meet each other and play on the beach together. Let's hope. And of course, Eugenie's children are also cousins of Prince William's children. So, there comes a time when the children can make up their minds and they can reconcile, even if the parents can't. I would think, looking at it the other way round, the children of Prince Harry and Meghan, young Archie and young Lilibet, would very much want to know their English cousins because it'll be terribly interesting. They suddenly realize that they've got cousins who, one day one of them's going to be the King of England. And if you had a cousin who was the King of England, you'd rather like to know him, I think. And I think it's very sad that they don't. But at the moment, I don't see that happening. So I don't know what Prince William would think about it. I think probably Prince William's got enough on his plate, frankly, worrying about, his wife getting better and his father having had actually a very good boost by his trip to Australia and Samoa, evidently about to start going off again, doing more overseas tours. And, he pulled this one off, so he can do it again. And that's all to the good. I don't see really how Prince Harry fits into all that or indeed his children at the moment.